See if we get anybody in. I might struggle a little bit this afternoon because I've not charged my tablet up foolishly, and therefore haven't got comments on the other device. A bit of a pain, but hello, hi Sophie, how are you? I'm just getting myself ready to do some mixed media cards. So I'm not at all organised because I've been making Christmas cakes today. So it's left me without my usual level of organisation. Ooh, I'm trying to just see if I can get it so that I can read the comments. I've stupidly not charged up my tablet, so I'm struggling to see the comments, but we'll see. So I've got some, let's see if I can get the camera up a little bit so that we can see. I've got some DL cards and envelopes that I picked up on sale ages ago in the range. So I'm going to work on those today, but I'm going to do them in a bit of a mixed media style, or that's what the intention is. So I'm going to take just a slither off of this. So I'm just cutting down some watercolour cardstock to use as the panels to go on the front of these cards. So we shall get these cut. I'm hoping that I might get a little bit charge in my tablet as we go along, and I might actually be able to talk to people as well, which would be nice. Why does that feel like it's not cut straight? Because it's not cut straight. Now I've got my blade on the floor. Great start to the day. I'd ask you what you've been up to, Sophie, but I can't actually see the comments at the moment because I'm so well organised. But I'm hoping to get that changed in a moment. Right, that's a bit better. Yeah. Okay. My usual method of chopping it off, which this bit isn't very interesting, and I really had hoped to do it before the live, but like I say, I've been making Christmas cakes today and they take forever, and I've literally just managed to get another one in the oven before signing on. So we'll see if anybody else joins in. I'm just going to potter along. Hope my tablet gets a bit of charge, and then I might be able to see comments, which would be awesome. Right, so I've just cut 3 to start with. I've cut watercolour paper because I'm going to go mixed media. I want it to be able to take a little bit of water. Now, this isn't the best watercolour paper in the world, I'm not going to lie. It is just this cheap stuff from Hobbycraft, which is absolutely fine for this sort of thing. I wouldn't use it if I was going to, you know, try and create any. Not that I can actually watercolour. That would be a big fib. Ow! You had I can see my comments now. A splinter of metal in your finger. Oh my goodness. Oh, Big Shot is brilliant. I love my Big Shot. My daughter bought me the Gemini for my birthday, which is brilliant. But I think if you're going to have just one, the Big Shot is definitely the one to go for because it does everything. Right, I'm going to get a messy mat out. This one really is messy. Okay, just so that we don't get muck everywhere all over my desk. So these are the panels that I have cut in preparation for the mixed media. Now, I have got all sorts of things out to one side. This one, I think I'm going to start with a bit of book text. And I've got an old encyclopedia that I've ripped the covers off of to, in fact, it's the guts of the one that I used to make my Alice in Wonderland journal. And I'm just going to stick a few pieces of this down. Hi Dawn, how are you? Been cooking Christmas cakes and sort of didn't realise quite what the time was and that time was ticking on. And yeah, I've just sort of tried to chuck a few things together on my desk. So I'm making mixed media cards for a bit of a change. I'm going to just start off by sticking some bits of book page onto. This is watercolour paper. So I've just cut down some watercolour so that the panels are going to be the right size for the cards that I'm actually going to put them on. So I've just cut those down, and then I'm just sticking some bits of book text on just to get me started. You probably won't see an awful lot of the book text once I'm done. I know, isn't that lucky? I was just saying, I love my Big Shot. It's such a good all-round machine. It sort of does pretty much everything, the Big Shot. There we go. So I'm going to let that dry for a moment. And I want some texture paste, and I don't have any, so I'm going to make some. So I've just got a little plastic tub, and I'm going to bung some talcum powder in it. Running out in this bottle. I'm just see now why I've got the messy mat down. Only just started and I'm already in a mess. Then I'm going to take some PVA glue, which is not open. Let's see if I've got, oh no, I haven't got an open one. I remember I used it up last time I made some. So we will open this one. So this is just the cheap, like, kids PVA. I think I got that one from the works, or put a blob in. Now I'm rubbish and I don't actually measure anything. If you do want to do it properly and you want to measure it all out, it's I think it's like equal amounts of pretty much everything. Then I want some white paint, because I'm making a white texture paste. So I'm just going to squirt some white paint in there. And if it's too loose, I'll just bung a bit more talc in. Like I say, I'm not overly fussed. I'll just play it by ear. Talcum powder, done. It's just regular talcum powder. You can use cornstarch, corn flour. You can use like a marble dust or calcium carbonate, I think it is the other one that you can use. You can actually just use like what's it called, polyfiller. Some people just use that instead of buying texture paste. Depends what you're making. If you're making something that you want to last forever and ever, and then you're better off making it with the proper stuff, or buying a proper one, because it might not be like acid free, and you know, it might not stand the test of time. But I've got things I made 3 or 4 years ago using talcum powder texture paste, and they're still absolutely fine, still stand up. I'll have to get one of my first ever mixed media canvases down and show you. But yeah, they've years ago now, so yeah, like I say, probably 3, maybe even getting on for 4 years, and they're still absolutely fine. I'm just opening another bottle of talcum powder because I've also just run out that one as well. So talcum powder and white glue is something I always have. Yeah, talcum powder's brilliant. That's all I ever use, baby powder. That's all I ever use. I just use this one from the pound shop. That's all I ever use. Hello! We're just making some texture paste because I'm going to do some mixed media cards today. So I had hoped I was going to be really organised and have all of this done, made and all the rest of it ready to go, but my Christmas cakes just took over my life this morning. The nice thing about making your own texture paste is that you can do what you like to. Mine to be too smooth today, so I'm going to add a bit of texture to it if I can find it. So you can add anything. I'm stood behind the desk if you can't hear me very well. I'm looking for a pot of texture stuff that I've got that I can't find. Why would I be able to find it when I need it? I don't know what I've done with it. It's not a good start, is it? No, can't find it. Oh, I know what we can use. I've got some like white, it's almost like sand type texture stuff, and I quite often put that in my texture paste, but I can't find it. So I'm going to put in some of these micro beads. These are the ones that I got from BB Crafts. They're brilliant for all sorts of things, but you can add those into your texture paste and give them a good mix, and then your texture paste will have more texture to it. It'll be gritty and grainy. So all these ones that you buy, the lava paste and they're just texture paste with stuff added. So you can see, you might not be able to see on the camera, but I don't know if you can see it. Trying to get the camera to show it, but it's not doing it very well. But it's got some texture to it now, and obviously if you put coloured ones in there you'd see that through, but because I'm going to add colour to my piece anyway, I'm not all that bothered. So that's that. I've got some texture paste. I think before I start putting my texture paste on, I think I'm going to just do a little bit of rough stamping just to get some other interest into the background. So I've just got a text stamp. Mine's just from Ali. I'm going to go for a brown ink. I don't want black, but I'm going to use Stays On, because Stays On, you can put any mediums over the top of it other than alcohol and it won't run. Whereas if I used a Distress ink or a Memento or something like that, it would run as soon as I put any water-based products. So because it's mixed media, I don't want it to be too perfect, and put some texture paste on. Yeah, glitter's brilliant. Sand, anything, just absolutely anything that you want, you can bung in these. So I've got loads of different stencils, from the cheapy, rubbishy sort of AliExpress ones, but they're fine. They're absolutely fine. I use them all the time. Then they're not the best quality, and you won't get the same depth of texture paste because they're quite thin. And then I've got a really nice, thick, good quality one. This is from Julia McNeil Crafts. That's a really nice stencil, that one. So because it's quite a small space, I'm going to go for something with a smaller print pattern. So you can just hold them down. I'm a bit rubbish at that, and I end up moving everything. So all I'm going to do is just put a little bit of tape just to try and help me keep it all just in the right place, just while I get my texture paste on. So I'm just going to take some of my texture paste, and I'm not thinking about where I'm putting it. Hi, Brian. Yeah, I like a nice thick texture paste. I don't like them if they're too thin. That's the beauty of making your own, isn't it? Is you make it however you want to make it, and you can thin it down, and you can then use it as a gesso. Then I'm just going to move that about like so. And I'm going to add a bit more down the bottom, like so. Like that. So I've not thought about where that texture paste is going. I'm not overly worried about how perfect it is, because, you know, at the end of the day, it's mixed media. So I'm going to leave that to dry for a second. We'll work on another one. Just going to put this stencil in some water. The only thing with any sort of texture paste, whether you've made it or whether it's one that you've bought, you need to put your stencils and things in water straight away, because it sets and then it's hard to get off. There we go. And if you've ever tried to get texture paste off of something once it's set, it is a nightmare. I've ripped a couple of stencils trying to do that. Yeah, it's a nice one for just having a play, just getting your different mediums out and having a play with them and seeing what they do and seeing how they react without that feeling of having to get it right, because there is no such thing as right with mixed media. Right, then we've got another one of the bases. What should we do with this one? Oh, I know what we could do. Right, I've got some dies over here somewhere, she says. Let's die cut, if I can find them. I've got tons of dies, and can I find the one I want? No. There it is. Right, what one shall we go for? That's quite a cool one. Quite like that. Okay, so I'm going to die cut this, but I'm going to die cut it a couple of times so that it gives some texture. So it's a bit like, it's another way of giving that textured look if you don't have or don't want to create texture paste. So I'm just going to, using a bit of craft card, I'm going to cut probably 3 of these. Again, this is something that, had I have not been so disorganised today, I would have done this morning. But there you are, you can't have it all, can you? Right, so just, it's going to be noisy because I'm just going to run it through the Gemini. I'm really disorganised today, and I do apologise. It's just been one of those days today. Trying to do too many things all at once. I can't remember what plates I'm supposed to use for the Gemini, because it's new. Right, definitely goes that way up. Let's see if that runs through, whether that's too thick. Oh, that's not going to work because I've turned the Gemini off to plug the tablet in. Told you, not organised. Okay, let's see if we can do it on the baby blue. I don't know if it'll. Yeah, some days I'm really organised and really with it, and then other days I'm just not. And but then the day just seems to have sort of vanished from me. But there you go. I'm here. I'm having a play. Right, let's see if the baby blue will cut this. I'm not convinced it's going to, because it's quite intricate. But we'll see. Yeah, do you know, I set myself too many tasks. This is the thing, and I've got, I don't know, the expectations of myself that I can get stuff done in a time frame that I actually can't ever achieve. I don't know why I do it to myself. So I need to learn not to set myself up so much. Right, I'm going to try the big shot because the baby blue can't cut it. It's too intricate. So I'm going to take my big shot. I know you're not supposed to use the this on top of the magnetic platform. I don't really care. I'm naughty. I'm a rebel. I do it anyway. And I use this little magnetic platform in a Big Shot Plus, which you're not supposed to do either. But I've been doing it for 2 years and 3 years, no problems. That's better. See, that's the difference with the Big Shot. 99% of dies will cut with the what's it called, the precision base plate, whereas on that little baby blue, it's brilliant for cutting little simple things at the desk, but you can't really cut anything too intricate with it. There we go. And this is the only difference between the Gemini and this one, is that I wouldn't have to poke any of this out with the Gemini. They would just all fall out. I have yet to find anything that my Gemini can't cut. It's a bit of texture and a bit of height on our mixed media card. I'm actually crouched down on the floor using my Big Shot because every single work surface in my craft room is covered. At the moment, I've got Christmas stuff out. I've got bits for collaborations and stuff that I'm in. It's just crazy stuff everywhere. Just need to run that one back through and cut it. Yeah, it's a nice sort of mixed media dye, this one, isn't it? It's I don't actually know if I've ever used it before, to be fair. It's one of those ones that I saw it, I liked it, I bought it, and then it's just gone in my stash. I've got hundreds of those because I'm a hoarder, it turns out. It turns out I've got 3 hobbies. One is crafting, one is buying craft supplies, and the other is organising my craft supplies. Although I've not been as good with that just lately. Although it was not too bad this morning. I finished cataloguing all my hot foil stamps this morning. So I've stamped, letterpressed them all so I know what I've got. And I've just got about 5 baskets full of stamps and dies that I need to do at some point. But there's always something better to be doing. Right. Last one. Probably should have switched the phone on silent, really, shouldn't I, before I started. Hey dear, I'm not organised today. Right, so that's the last one. There we go. Just put that one out the die. Lovely. Just pop all the extra bits out. There we are. So I've got 3 of those cut, and what I want to do is just stick them all together. So now that's going to be a pain if I try and do it with even with a fine tip, because there's just so much surface area. It would just be a pain. So I've got a little bit of glue here from putting the paper down, and I'm just gonna dab a bit of glue about here and there like that. Lovely. Right, and then I'm going to grab another one of them, and I'm just going to layer that over the top. And what this is going to do is it's going to give you that height and sort of change in texture that if you were to buy like the chipboard pieces, I don't know if you've seen like the Dusty Attic type chipboards or snip art chipboards, but they're so expensive to buy. They're lovely, and I would love to own them and use them, but they are just really, really expensive. So this is a bit of a poor man's trick on how to create the same look. Ooh. I actually really do love organising. If I had more time, I've just done my summer house actually, which I use as my sewing room. I did that last week or the week before, and I do actually really enjoy organising everything and then seeing everything when it's done. And I literally do catalogue all my dies, all my stamps, stencils, embossing folders, you name it, I catalogue it all, because then I know what I've got. And I find it, if I'm looking for some inspiration, I can just have a quick look through the folders and see what I've got, and sometimes that's enough to inspire me. So right, so there we go. So that now you've got some really nice texture. But again, I think what I want is to have a little bit of stamping. Now we'll go for a different stamp this time. What have we got? Oh, I've got some music notes here. Let's go for that. So all I've done before is out on the table to work on. Tablet is shutting down again. It's driving me mad. I should have remembered to charge it up. My daughter has been using it and has clearly forgotten to charge it. So all I'm going to do is, again, not wanting any sort of perfection in the stamping, I'm just going to try it, put some stamping on, and then try it with the piece that's going to go on it. There we go, and that'll do. So I don't want too much, so I think we'll just start with these two cards for now. Okay, I can't remember what I've done with the other one. I'll put it somewhere because it's got texture paste all over it, drying. Right, I apologise if I'm not answering anybody's questions. My tablet's just died again. So I think it's because the wire's been pulled. Just give it a minute and it will get some charge. Okay. So yeah, I can't work out whether the buffering is my end or not. I know I was having problems last week. I do wonder whether it's my internet. So I'm just going to stick this down. Again, I'm just blobbing a load of, this is just tacky glue, just Anita's tacky glue. Just chucking a load of that on the back. And because this is, you know, it's mixed media, it's going to get covered in stuff, I'm not worried about it getting mucky or anything like that. The glue sort of coming through to the other side. Yeah, it's hard to know, isn't it? I've been the same. I keep sort of not knowing if it's my internet or if it's... I watched Leisha's live last night, and that one was okay, apart from in one or two places. But I do think my internet is not playing. I'm going to take a bit of gesso, just white gesso, and I'm going to go over the top of that bit that I've just laid down. Like I say, it doesn't matter that I've inked underneath, because it's alcohol based. It's not going to react with the stays on. But what this will do is it will allow the mediums that we're going to put on afterwards to flow a little bit, and it just knocks the black into the background just a little bit. So it's still there, but it's in the background a little bit. Okay, so I need to just give it a little bit of a dry. So I'll do it under the table, try and keep the noise to a minimum. Bear with me. Talk amongst yourselves. Mixed media is not the best to do on a live actually, because you need to use the heat tool quite a lot when you're doing mixed media. Okay, so now that I've got that on there, I can start to think about what mediums I want to use. And you can use anything. You could use distress inks, you could use paints, you could use watercolour, you could use acrylic. I've got loads of these Lindy Stamp Gang sprays that I've just never got round to using. I don't love them, I've got to say. They're and I think that's probably just because I've never bothered to get to grips with how to use them properly. So I'm just going to have a bit of a play with those. Now what I might do is give it a bit of a spray with water first, because then that'll help the sprays to move. And that's part of the reason why I've put it on watercolour paper. Can't talk. Apparently I can't talk and drip ink on something at the same time. It's far too challenging. Hi Judy, how are you? I'm struggling with comments at the minute, Miss Judy, because I'm doing a few mixed media cards. So I'm just using the water to try and get the ink to flow. There we go. I need some more water. And if I sort of lift it up slightly, it'll help it to flow down the edges of the textured piece that we've just put down. And I can just drop it in here and there. And get it to move about. I'm actually quite liking this colour. Because it's got the gesso underneath, it's a little bit paler, which I'm quite liking. Got a few splatters about. Okay, just going to get a little bit more water. Oh, this Christmas cake smells so good. Love it. We put the Christmas tree up last night as the girls were all a bit fed up of everything, so decided to cheer them up and put the Christmas tree up, which was nice. We had a lovely day, just putting up the tree and decorating, and it was just nice. Made a nice change to have something jolly to do. So all I'm doing is there's no sort of rhyme or reason to this. It's just putting it wherever you think it might look nice. The other thing that you could do, that's better, yeah, I like the pipette. Use more product, but then, like I say, these sprays have been in my stash forever, and I just haven't been using them, so actually it's good to get them used up. Okay, so that's that colour, and then I think, yeah, lots of people haven't put theirs up yet, have they? It is a bit early. To be fair, we normally put ours up first week in December, which is still quite early here in the UK actually. A lot of people don't put theirs up. I think one of my neighbours doesn't put hers up until about 4 days before Christmas. But I I love Christmas and I couldn't possibly wait that long. So ours usually goes up. My husband's birthday's on the 5th, so we normally try and hold off till after his birthday, but quite often we don't actually get around to that. I'm just trying to turn my tablet back on and see what happens. Okay, so I'm just going to pop a little bit more, but this time this is Boogie Gold, Boogie Gold. And that one's Alpine Ice Rose. So again, just get a little, just a little bit of the goldy colour here and there. So this is like a sort of tea colour, this one, which is quite pretty. There we go. Hey Lizzie, how are you? Just doing a little bit of mixed media today. Not organised in the least. I apologise to everybody. I am poorly organised today. I was far too busy being taken up with making Christmas cakes. So it is what it is. Right, what other colours have we got? So we've got Chameleon Red. I'm not sure what that is. Let's have a look at that. I like that one. And sometimes having a few different tones will just put in some bits in there. And if you're not loving something, you can always just give it a bit of a spray with some water and it'll move things about a little bit. So I'd like some of this to drip down like that. Yes, that's what I want. Lovely. Now, mixed media is one of those things that not everybody loves. I really like mixed media. I love the look of mixed media. But I didn't particularly when I first started crafting. It was something that I sort of came to get a bit of a love for later on. Right. Trying to get my tablet to switch on, but it's not loving it. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to just dry it off a bit because it is really quite wet. Now the thing with any sort of wet medium is that your paper will wrinkle and curl. Even though I've used a watercolour paper, it will still wrinkle and curl. And that's fine, that's perfectly normal. It will flatten out when I tape it down to the card. It's really quite damp, so it is going to take quite a bit of drying, unfortunately. Okay, we're getting there. So don't forget, whenever you dry anything that's wet, keep rotating it, dry it back and then front, because that again will help to flatten it out. Okay, so it's just lifting a little bit there, and that's fine once it's dried a bit more, but it's okay for now. Okay, so I'm going to put a bit more texture on it. So what I'm going to do is, using just some tacky glue, I'm going to go just around the edges of on this side, just squirting a bit of glue on, and then those micro beads, put some glue under there while I'm at it, just help to because it's got really wet, it is quite, if I wasn't doing this for a live, I would have dried that off and then left it for a bit to really dry, and then stuck it all back down again and put it under something heavy. But obviously I don't have the luxury of that whilst doing a live, so I'm going to just plough on. Okay, so I've got some more of these. I'm going to get some more of the beads out. Where's my little tray thing? Get my little jewellery tray. And I'm just going to spoon some of those onto that tacky glue. And again, it'll just add some texture. There you go. And once that glue dries, you're just sort of left with the texture and the shimmer, because these are sort of slightly iridescent, these beads. So you're just left with that. The only thing is they are messy. So let's just pop those back in. Right then, I'm going to grab the cards. So those of you that came on the live last week, I did a similar thing where I used some gel medium and some of those baubles and a bit of glitter to make like sea foam, and you couldn't really see it on the card that I made last time, but because it was all white still. But now that that's dried, I don't know if it's like sea foam splashing up the legs of the pier. I love it. I'm so pleased with it, and it's got a really lovely texture to it as well, which is nice. So I'm really pleased with that. So I'm going to pop that one off to one side and let that start to dry. For that, to make that one last time, I used some of this heavy structure gel from Galleria. I just popped a scoop of that into a tub, and I put some of those these nail caviar bead things, and I put some glass glitter and some of the really fine what's it called, glimmer dust, I think it is. I put some of that one and some of the diamond dust in, and it looks opaque when you first mix it up, because the gel is actually, it's white until it dries. So so it looked quite opaque, and it didn't look all that, and you couldn't see the sparkle from the glitter or anything like that when it was wet. But then when it dried, it looked really brilliant. So I just thought I would share that. Right, looks like the tablet might be turning back on now. So let's have a look at the first one and see if that's anywhere near dry. So this is the first one that we did. It does need a bit of drying, so I'm just going to dry this one a bit. Like I say, it's the hard thing about doing mixed media on a live is that because there's lots of layers and you do tend to use lots of different mediums and lots of different stuff, you do tend to need to dry quite a lot. And I know a lot of people can't stand the noise of the air dryer on the camera, but there's not a lot you can do about it when you're doing mixed media, really. Perhaps I should leave mixed media for videos and not lives. Drying off nicely. So the only thing that you've got to be careful of when you're using homemade texture paste is that if you put too much water on without drying in between your layers, it will start to crumble. Whereas you'll get that even with some of the commercial texture pastes, but things like the structure gel don't. They're really good with all the excess bits off before I start lathering it in mediums. There we go. So that's the panel so far. Now what I want to do is just knock back some of that that writing just a little bit. We want it to still be there, but at the same time I want it to, it's not the star of the show. It's it's background noise, and that's what we want it to stay as. So again, I'm just gonna, just a light coat of gesso. Doesn't cover it up, but it just tones it down and just puts it firmly into the background. So it's a really good, it's an amazing thing to use in any sort of mixed media, gesso, because if you do something and you think, not loving it, you can either just cover it up with the next layer, or you can just sort of knock it back a little bit. So I'll give that a little dry. There we go. Okay, so that's dry enough. So again, we can start to think about putting some mediums on. Now we used the sprays on the last one, so perhaps we will go for something a bit different on this one, and we will perhaps go for some acrylic paint. What have we got to hand? What colours should we go for? We've got a nice dark brown. We could go vintagey on this one. That might look quite cool. What do you lot think? What colours shall we go with? I've got a nice aquary colour. That might look nice. Let's get a few out. Right, let's grab a few. Help if I could see comments, wouldn't it? It's so rubbish, this setup. I've got to get better at it. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. Yes, yeah, you can use white acrylic. Just obviously don't layer it on too thick, or you can thin your, if your acrylic's quite an opaque acrylic, you can just thin it with a little tiny bit of water. Don't over thin it, because otherwise you lose the binders. You don't have enough binder to pigment. But yeah, you can definitely use a white acrylic. So I've got a few different acrylic paints here, and I'm going to just pop some on the mat, and I'm going to put some water on, and I'm just going to start with a bit of this one. So I want it to be reasonably watery, because obviously I want it to run like I did with the other one, and that's the beauty of putting texture, is that you don't have to do too much to sort of get the beauty to come out. If you just make sure that what you've got is, so that's still a little bit thick. A bit of water on the page helps as well. Now what I don't want to do is start off by covering up too much of that texture. I want the texture to sort of come out the page a bit. So I'm going to flood just above where all the texture is with the colour. Obviously I'm started with quite a pale colour, and then I'll build it up, because you can always add more colour, but it's hard to take it out once you've put it on. Just guide the colour. Now I'm going to give it a bit of a dry so that I don't end up with mud, because obviously if I sort of put another colour on the top of that one before that one's dry, it will just mix. So this one's really quite pale, and you can't see an awful lot of it at the moment, but it will come out more as we add more colours on. I haven't even thought about what I'm going to use for my sort of focal points yet. I've just been thinking about the actual background piece. Is everybody ready for Christmas? I'm going to admit to not having bought a single present yet. I am so disorganised this year. I don't know if it's everything that's going on or whether I'm just, I'm just not feeling it the same way that I normally do. So I've gone for a bit of a brighter blue here. And I'm just going to mix that into what I've already got. Why waste what I've already got? And I'm not overly worried about how well mixed it is, because it'll just add to the texture. Obviously with acrylics, once you've set it, you can re-wet it and it won't move again. So the base colour that I put underneath isn't going to go anywhere. Yeah, I've been asking my girls what they want. One's nearly 16 and the other one's 21, and I've been asking and asking them. My 21-year-old keeps saying, nothing, I can buy anything I want for myself these days, you don't need to spend. And then the 16-year-old, well, 15-year-old, keeps saying that she's got everything already. I'm like, does that mean that you're spoiled? She said, a little bit. I was like, okay then, I'll remember that. Right, so I'm just going to dry that layer off a bit. Oh, I like this turquoisey blue. It's really pretty. Very, very pretty, like sort of Tiffany blue. Lovely. Just takes forever to dry, that's the only thing. But all of the texture from the little micro beads that I put into the texture paste is really starting to show now. Now that we're getting some colour on it. You can see that there's some real colour and the texture's really starting to come out in this one now. Okay, so I do want to add a bit of dark brown to it because I do like things to look a bit vintagey. It's just my aesthetic. And the person that I'm making this for, I think will appreciate that it's made for her but made in my aesthetic. Although I think she'll quite like it as well. Okay, so I'm thinking about doing money for both of them, to be perfectly honest. I don't know what else to do for them. They're driving me bonkers with it. Right, let's see if my tablet will turn back on. It's got 2%. Okay, so because I've put more paint on, that's become quite thick, so I do just need to, I don't like it, it's too chocolatey, I think, because I've mixed it with the turquoise. I'm going to just mop all of that up. Aha, that sounds like the tablet turning on. Good. Just leave that gesso in case I want a bit to do. Let's go for some distress ink. I've got some ground espresso, which is the sort of colour that I'm wanting. So There we go. Let's pick up another brush. Let's go for that one. And again, right, now what I want to do is get some water on there so that it'll move as soon as it touches the paper. That's it. Yay. And all this is going to do is just sort of highlight some of that texture, because I'm just popping it where there's recesses in the texture paste. And it'll I've got a brown ink somewhere, water ink. It's too slow for my liking. What have we got? Let's see what colours I've got. It's green, we don't want green. Purple, green. What's that one? Green. A lot of homemade brown ones have gone green over time, as I quite like brown. I think the only sort of browny coloured one I've got is this gold, so I might just go with that one again. Put a bit of the gold on. It's just not quite as dark as I'd like it, but never mind, I'll make it work. That's my youngest one, just home from school, getting ready to take her GCSEs and not really knowing what the future holds. So you can see that as you just sort of drop this in, it'll run down between all the crevices of the texture paste and just highlight the texture, which is lovely. I really like it, and I really like the colours. It's very vintagey, it's very me. Okay, so that's that, and then just take some of that. Oh, I know what I've got, that might be nice. Oh, I just remembered what I've got. I've got some drawing ink. That might look at that. Proper gold. That might make some lovely splatters. I do like nice splatters. Right. Let's see how we get on with this. Let's do it with a little fan brush. It's not quite as spectacular as I thought it was going to be. Might be when it dries, I suppose. Okay. That'll do. My desk is just getting messier by the second. Right. Let's see if I can. Right, I'm just going to give this one a bit of a dry again. Right then. Ooh. Haha. Right, the tablet is on. Whether it stays on is another question entirely. Right, let's give these a quick dry. So they're both quite different in that we've used different things to create the texture, and I've used different colours, and obviously I've used different things to do the colour. But I think they're both lovely. So I suppose it's thinking about what I want to use then as focal points, because these are lovely backgrounds, and they're going to look brilliant on the cards, but they do need a focal point and a sentiment. So I will, once I've got these dry, I'll get the sentiment box out and we will get the sticker box out. I'm sure there's something in the stickers that we can use to make a focal point with. Now, this is the sort of thing that I definitely wouldn't use a washi sticker on unless I was going to stick it on some cardboard first and cut it back out. Purely and simply because of the amount of texture, it just wouldn't lie properly, and it just wouldn't look right. Well, that gold's coming out quite nicely now that it's drying, actually. Quite pretty. Okay, right, let's dry some of this up. Look what I've done. Look what I've done. That's disgusting. Hi, Jeanette. How are you? Nice to see you. So, those are the two backgrounds so far. I think they're both pretty. They're both sort of, like I say, a bit different from each other. Just because of the methods employed in making them both. So this one has one of the die cuts is lifted because I've put so much water on it. So I'm just going to stick that one back down again. So I suppose some more waterproof glue probably would have been better. It probably would have been better to stick that down with a bit of matte medium or gel medium or something like that, rather than using the tacky glue to stick them together. So there we go, we've learned something. Right, let's get some bits out. So I've got the vast sticker box out because I am the person that buys millions of stickers, even though I don't actually really use stickers all that much, which is a bit ridiculous. But there you have it. And I know I've got in here some butterflies, which might be nice. So we've got those butterflies. What other ones have we got? I've got some pink ones there as well. I've got that pack of butterflies. I've got some darker green ones, they're quite cute. I've got some cream ones, so we'll have those ones out for now. Yeah, I love butterflies, and a local shop, it was last year or maybe even the year before, had these packs for £1 and it had got all these different butterflies in. So I bought one in each colour, obviously. And then these were just actually from our pound shop. It was quite a while ago now, but I love them. I wish I'd bought more of those because they are really beautiful. Okay, so these are still a little bit damp, but they should be okay enough for us to continue. So I want to just give a little tiny bit of gold to the top of that texture paste, because I think it'll come out really nicely. So I've got some Deco Arts Gold Rush metallic luster. It's donkey's years old and completely dried up. However, if you put a bit of spray a bit of water into it, it just comes back to life again. However, I am just going to get one of these on my finger, so that, because it's hard to get this stuff off. A bit more stuck. So I'm just rubbing it in to make it, bring it back to life. I might try putting a few drops of glycerine in it actually. Leave it with a bit of glycerine in it. Hit the high points of the texture. So those little tiny beads, the little glass beads that I put in the texture paste, will just step out just a little bit more. Like so. Lovely. Okay. And the other thing that I like to do is I like to ink the edges of my piece. Mixed media, it's something that I've tried since I sort of more or less not long after I started crafting, to be honest. So I don't know, about 3 or 4 years ago. But I don't do it all that often, if I'm honest. I should practice more than I do, because I love it and I love the look of mixed media. But it's one of the problems that I've got with my channel. I'm far too eclectic with my crafting. I like so many different styles of craft, and I like to experiment with so many different elements of crafting, that I'll do something for a while and then I'll go off it a bit and I'll do something else for a bit. So I actually haven't done any mixed media for ages, which is why I sort of fancied doing a bit today. So I've probably only done, I don't know, a dozen or so pieces. So I've still got loads to learn, but I do enjoy it. But I've just bought some Fimo because I want to have a go at making faux ceramic. So that's going to be, I've got a couple of extra days off this week, so that's going to be a project for later in the week. So you see how just popping that brown all around the edge, it frames it and it brings your eye in a little bit. Now the thing that I quite often struggle with, which I've not done too bad with on this piece actually, is leaving white space. I'm not normally all that great at leaving white space, but I've actually not done too bad today. So I'm going to again just go around the edge of this one, just because I can't have that. Now I think the pinky one, I want to add a little something to it. So I know I've got a stencil lurking about somewhere that's got some numbers on it. Did I get it out? Was it one of the ones I got out? It was. Yay! I might just pop. What could I do it with though? Oh, I know I've got out. Got some gold paint out. Let's put some of that, and trying to find a little sponge, of which I've got hundreds, but obviously I'm struggling to lay my hands on right at this second. There we go. So just with a makeup sponge, I'm just going to, now I'm going to have to hold it quite flat because it's textured, where it's, you know, the water's gone in and all the rest of it. It is quite prone to, you'll get a lot of seeping underneath. And I'll go a little bit, just with whatever's left, just there. I like that, yeah, just a little bit of something extra, but it's not too much. It's a little bit of gold, but it's not too much, because it's acrylic paint. So and it's metallic acrylic paint never tends to be particularly vibrant. I keep putting everything in that gesso, so let's just clean that up before I drive myself bonkers. I am the messiest crafter in the world when it comes to mixed media. I get my desk covered, everything I'm doing gets covered, I get covered. I've usually got my apron on, I haven't remembered to do that, so my top will no doubt be covered. I do just get it everywhere because I get so enthralled in what I'm doing. I don't clean up as I go along, and I always want to think, oh, I'll save that because I might want to use that on another layer. But then the backs always end up looking like that, but that's okay because that will give us, it'll get it all laying flat, and that will help when it comes to choosing what I want to put on it next. So I'm going to move the messy mat, which obviously hasn't stopped my desk getting messy. Not the best messy mat in the world. Just give that a bit of a wipe. I need new tablecloth before long. Keep making a mess like this. Right, so the tape that I'm going to use to stick these to the card fronts is this Redline tape, just because it's really strong and it will help to get a nice flat finish. It'll help it to sort of, you know, really lay it taut. So I'm just going to take one of the panels. I'm going to pop some tape on like so. There we go. I've got loads of stuff for doing mixed media because we've got a flea market in my town on a Thursday. Well, not at the moment, obviously, but normally on a Thursday we have a flea market, and there's some sellers on there that sell the most amazing, like vintage books and photos and postcards and just all sorts of old stuff that nobody wants anymore. You pick it up for pennies, and it's brilliant for mixed media, old sewing patterns and all sorts. And I've got a habit of buying tons of stuff. And then because I can't craft at the rate at which I can shop, unfortunately. So I just end up with stacks of it in my storage cupboards. So I do need to do more of it and use up some of my stash. But I'd got a card to make for somebody in particular, and I thought they might quite enjoy a mixed media card, something a bit different. So I thought, why not? We could do it on the live. So I should be doing Christmas cards really, because I still haven't finished my Christmas cards. In fact, I still haven't done any more Christmas cards than I want to send them to. So definitely that is going to be on my list of things to do on my days off this week. So I'm going to take this tape off like so, and get some of the pop a light on. It's starting to go a bit dark. Put some tacky glue on because it will help me to be able to move the panels before they stick completely, but also once this is all stuck down and everything and the glue takes, even if the tape loses its stick over time, it won't matter because it'll have the tacky glue holding it down as well. So I'm just gonna go down over that where I can with the bone folder. Now I can't in certain places because I've still got the micro beads drying at the moment. They're not dry yet, but that looks really nice set on the white card. I really like that up on the white card. And then we will do the green one as well, and then we can finish them off. So is everybody else crafting today? Mondays tends to be my craft day. I've done some crochet. I didn't feel like great Saturday, so I just sat on the sofa and watched telly and did some crochet. That was about all I managed on Saturday. And then yesterday we spent the whole day sorting out Christmas decorations and things like that. I had to go and get some groceries in the morning, so that took up more time than I really wanted it to. So just give that a bit of again, what I'm trying not to do is run the bone folder over where the texture is, because I don't want to flake it off, and it is still slightly. That's the 2 cards so far. So really all they need to finish them off is a focal image and a sentiment or something. So let's have a look at the butterflies. So I do love these butterflies. So probably put a couple of those on, like so, like that. And then maybe with the sentiment down the bottom there. And then, now what I've got to do is decide which one is for the friend in question. So which is your favourite of the 2, guys? They're both colours that she likes, so from that point of view it won't matter. Grab some sentiments out. Still not sure I'm seeing the chat. Oh, look at that. I've been missing all the chat. Hey dear. My daughter's just come on and had a look. Gingerbread house advent calendar. Oh, that sounds brilliant. Well, I'd like to see that one. Right then. I've been stamping and doing some hot foiling this week. So I've got lots of sentiments. So it's just a case of finding the right sentiment and then cutting said sentiment out. So, I don't like white, but I do quite like that creamy colour on that one. Yeah, I'm sort of leaning towards the blue. I do like the blue one. What else have we got? Yeah, colouring and watching YouTube, nice. And not have too much sort of stress, so. Right, what have we got? Don't want blue. That's quite cute. Thinking of you. Shine bright. Oh, now that might be quite cute with. Right, I'm going to cut out this happy birthday because I know I want that one. I just need to find where I've put the die for it. Because I'm so organised. That's a bit too big. Right, let's do it on the. Put it on the hob. Oh, right, avalanche is happening behind me. I think it's all getting a bit much in here. Right, I wonder if, because I haven't stamped it straight, it's quite hard to cut it straight. I'll give it my best shot. Oops. Can't talk and cut at the same. I can't cut straight at the best of times. I definitely can't do it and talk at the same time. After eating dinner. Yeah, I like blue butterflies. I always forget how much I like a nice mixed media card. Right, see if I can cut this straight. This is why I need to be a bit more organised and get a load of sentiments stamped and cut and ready to rock and roll, because it's a pain when I'm trying to do it fast. I never quite... See, that's not straight in the least. In the least. Honestly. Give me strength. Try with a different colour. Still got more up that end. Better. Better. And then it wants a little bit off the ends because it's too long. This is how organised and how well thought out my things are. I just sort of hack at things until I'm more or less happy with it. There we go. Right, this is going to need some ink because obviously it's got to be inked. Ooh. And I need to chuck it on the... Make it look quite vintagey, I think, to go with the card. And then that wants some height to it. So let's cut some cardboard to go underneath it. I like the colouring in the blue one, and I like the way that the textures come out in that one. It's just come out really nicely. Whereas the pink one, it's still come out nice. It's still a nice card, and I would still definitely give it as a card. It's just not quite as good as the blue one. That's why I tend to like making things in twos, because then I think it's you've got an option, haven't you? If one of them doesn't turn out quite the way you'd sort of thought it was going to, you've got another one that you can work with. There we go. So put that one like that. Now then, I have got... got some... Oh, I know what will look nice down there. Where is that? So we can either go with gold rimmed pearls, or we've got the goldy coloured sort of flower. What do you think? Could have another people to help me pick, because normally that's the sort of thing I really dither with. So because this one was on white paper, I've just really knocked it back with a bit of make it fit in with what I've been doing. And then I'm gonna pop a bit of cardboard on the back of this sentiment, because then that'll sit flush then. Now, I'll tell you what might be nice on this one. I have got some of this Zig two-way glue, and it might be nice if I can find something to put it on. A bit of scrap cardboard will do. I'll take this one out of the way because I don't want it to go on that one. I've still haven't made my mind up what gems I want yet on that one. So this is Zig two-way glue pen, and it goes on, not that one, get the right one, Sarah. Goes on blue, but if you leave it and let it dry, it sort of doesn't fully dry. it goes tacky. So all I'm doing is just getting a blob on the end, and then I'm gonna just let that dry for a bit. And what will happen is it'll go clear, and once it goes clear, it goes tacky, and it won't dry completely. And then you can put foil or things like that on the top of it, or if you've got like gilding flakes or anything, you can gild over the top of it. You can also use it to re-stick things like big scan and cut mats and Cricut mats and things like that. That's what I tend to use it for. And it's really good for things like that. And I was thinking last night, I was on Alicia's live, and I thought you could do something similar with a self-healing cutting mat, and make a slightly sticky cutting mat for a big shot or something. I might have a go at it. I've got one somewhere. I'll have to have a go. See if it works. So I'm just putting a bit of hot glue on the back of these little pads for the butterflies, and I'm just gonna like this, and then yeah, I think I like the gold one. I think the creamy pearl one's just a little bit too blingy, whereas this one looks a little bit more vintagey. So I've got sticky hands now from the two-way glue pen. Do I want that one in the top? I don't know. I know I want these two in the bottom, so I'm going to put those on first. If I can find my gem picker-upper. Yeah, I love butterflies, Judy. They are beautiful. I'm always on the lookout for butterflies. In fact, I've got a load of butterfly dies, and I think I'm going to make something. I'm going to make some handmade butterflies. Oh, thank you, Judy. Ah, good job I'm wearing my old indoor trainer shoes, because I've just dropped hot glue on the top of them. Never mind. There we go. So do I want another gem up in the top there to make it 3, or is that just over the top? I don't think it needs it, does it? I don't think it needs it. I think it's pretty just like that. So I think I'm going to leave that one like that. So that'll be that card. Pretty. I like it. So then I've just got the other one, which is bothering me somewhat. It's nice. It's not quite there. So I have got these, which might be quite good with that sentiment. So they say shine bright. Obviously I can put my sentiment wherever I want it. I could just put one down in the bottom there. And then some gems, or so if I put it over the top of that, it just gets lost. Oh, I'm not sure I'm dithering. Right, I'm just going to give the two-way glue a quick dry, because it's I keep moving it. It'll take a minute for my heat tool to heat back up. I'm just going to heat over the bits of glue that I've put on. And try and get them to dry. And dry. Oops. Doesn't want to dry because I'm in a hurry. I'm just going to take some of this and squish it a little bit. Right, and then I've got a I've got some scraps. Where have I put my scraps? There. So I might bring a little bit of silver in because I've got the silver light bulb and I think that might be why it's looking a bit weird. So these are just scraps from where I've done hot foiling, but they will come off on particularly that Zig two-way glue. It's brilliant for this. You can sort of splash it down, let it dry a little bit. Don't put it on while it's first wet because it won't stick. You've got to just let it go tacky. Once it's gone tacky, you can just run over it like this, and anywhere where there's any stickiness left, it will take like that. That's looking a bit better. That's looking cool. So I think the other thing that I might just do, actually, about it, let's see if I can get this to work. So this is the big jumbo pen. So this is what the glue is. It's this Zig two-way glue pen. This is the big jumbo one, and this is the one that I used to re-stick my, yeah, it is still working. I haven't used this in months and months and months, and it's still working. It's what I used to stick my scan and cut mat. So let that go a little bit tacky, and then I'm going to stick a bit of foil over the top of that as well. Put in my little light bulb. It will tie that bit in as well. So we've got the shine bright there like that. Now then, I don't really want the nub on the top because obviously this is it's a charm. It's for jewellery. So I'm just going to take some snips. I might need my bigger snips actually. I don't want to ruin those because they're quite nice ones. Just get the rubbish old ones out. Here we go. So there we go. Just give that a bit of a snip, like so, and then I will take my just a nail file and just give it a bit of a rub on top there. There we go. Not sure where I want it. I'm really struggling with where I want to put this. What do you lot think? Where do you think I should put this light bulb? I want it on there because I like the sentiment shine bright with the light bulb. I wonder about there. Just coming off the edge. Just give that a blow over and see if it'll take the foil. Okay, and then I can use the same foil. I have got some pink foil, but I think it's got enough pink on it. But I've got a little tiny strip of holographic silver. So I'm going to put some of that on. Like so. And then get the other one. And just, where's my bone folder? I literally can't find anything on my desk now. It is an absolute bomb site. That's okay. Just needed a bit of something to make that bit stand out a bit more. Like it. I like it. There we go. So I don't know if you can see that now. That's got quite a lot of, it almost looks quite industrial. So that'd be really good for a steampunk. I've got some really nice bronze and copper hot foils, so they'd look really cool. I think the laser foil works as well actually on this. So if you've got any for laser, I think that would work in the same way with the glue. So then I think I'm going to, I wonder if I could, what colour would I go for? Just thinking I could make it a little bit darker and it might stand out a little bit more. So could go for, I think if we go for, is that going to be dark enough? No, I want a darker one than that. Go for an EB7. So this is just alcohol marker. Once it's dried, alcohol marker will stay on metal. Just needs a moment to dry. Oh, I'm not sure now. Don't like it now. Now I've done it, don't like it. That's okay. Just get a bit of alcohol and wipe it off. I just can't, it's just not quite doing it for me, and I don't know why. I don't know whether to just leave it off. Top left. It just feels like it's disappearing into the thing. I don't know whether, I think I'm going to leave it off for now. I might if it's got some of the gold in the background. It's got the same. No, definitely not. Definitely not. Definitely not. It's not got the right tone to it. But what about a couple of those? They're not the right colour. I'm super fussy, so I completely understand if everybody's like, I am really fed up of her going through every single gem in her collection. Feel free to call me crazy and call it a day. I've got billions of flatbacks because I'm incapable of making a choice, so I end up with tons and tons and tons. Oh, I quite like that. That's quite nice. And I've got some other sizes as well, which might look nice. Ooh, yeah, black. Could do black splashes. That might look quite cool. Yeah, black might bring it out a little bit. Quite liking the little champagne dots. Gems. Oh yeah, there. That's it. I like that. So I'm going to glue those down before I can change my mind yet again. Really should glue those down with white glue, because usually the hot glue dries before I actually get it fully secured on, and they're more prone to pop off as well actually if you glue them down with hot glue. Much more likely to stay in place if you do them with that. So what about cannot see my black paint. Where's my black paint? My child stolen it. Got a little bit there, that'll do. So let's put a little bit of black paint on here with a little bit of water. Right, so I'm just going to cover up my sentiment because I do not want any splashes on my sentiment. And I'm going to cover up that bit. And I'm going to pop this here like that, just so I don't get anything on the backside. And then I'm just going to there we go. Ah, yeah, I really like that. That little splash of black is actually just made it pop a little bit more. Lovely. So that's 2 mixed media cards, just using stuff that everybody's got at home. So homemade texture paste, just using white glue, talcum powder, and white glue, talcum powder, and white paint for the texture paste. And then I put some of the microbeads in to make it even more textured. I'm not going to bend that one just yet because the black is still wet on it. In fact, I'm just going to wipe the side down a little bit. And then, so that's what we used on the green and bluey sort of coloured one. That was the homemade texture paste, and a bit of book paper. And then on the other one, we've just used some stamping. In fact, we used stamping on both cards, but we've primarily used some stamping. And then we've used the die cuts to actually build up the textured element on that card. So again, that's really, really good for if you like the look of the chipboard elements but don't like the price of them because they are incredibly expensive, or they definitely are here in the UK. They're really, really expensive here in the UK. So if you don't want the cost of the chipboard but you want the look of it, that's when you can use your dies to build up something to give you that like a gel medium or something like that, because the tacky glue did start to separate a little bit because I put so much wet medium on that one. So I would just recommend that you do that. Yeah, and then we've just used a bit of all different sort of things to colour with, but you can literally use anything. You could use gelatos, watercolours, inks. You could use watercolour pencil, ink tents would be really lovely. You could colour around the edge and then wet it with your water brush, and it would drain the ink tents down the page. We've used some stencils, both for the texture paste on this one, but also to put the numbering in on that one. We've used a bit of paint, a bit of gilding wax on this one, some sentiments. So that's a stamped and heat embossed sentiment that I've done, and this is one that I've done on my hot foiling machine, and I've just sort of vintaged them up. And then for focal points, actually, I haven't ended up putting a focal point on this one because I think that the chipboard piece is enough of a focal point. But if you wanted to, you can absolutely add more. And I've done one before where I'd put this element or a similar element sort of more towards the centre of the card, and then done a really beautiful flower cluster. So this was sort of coming out of the flower cluster, and I'd done it for a friend who quite liked steampunk, and I layered cogs and things all into the flower cluster. So you can do absolutely anything with mixed media, and I think that's the beauty of mixed media. You can just have fun, just play, and you can use absolutely anything. And if I just quickly show you one of the first canvases that I ever did. So this was a canvas that I did years and years ago when I first started crafting, and I didn't really have an awful lot in the way of products. I'd only just really got into crafting. So I'd got some cheap canvases that I'd bought. I think I'd got them from Home Bargains, and I'd got some die cut pieces that people had either given me, or I think I'd just bought my scan and cut at the time. So I made a cut file for this clock and these swirls in the background, and I heat embossed them. So these I've done with some sort of patina type embossing powder, and that one I've done with a copper embossing powder. And then everything else, cereal boxes. You've got the picture in the background there was just that came from something I found at the flea market. We've got some metal pieces that a friend gave me on the side there. The flowers that I've just cut and made out of paper, and then you've got things like an old coin, an old button, an old clock handle, a key. That's a little wooden ship's wheel. And then if I spin it upside down so you can see the bottom, there's charms off of a necklace, a little resin rose On some of the other ones, I've used things like pull tabs from Coke cans, and I've used spark plugs and little tools and washers and all sorts that I found in my husband's garage. I go down in my husband's garage and just have a rifle through his garage every now and again. While I'm out and about and walking around, I'll find things on the street and I'll just bring it home, give it a wash, and that will get chucked in. I've got a huge box. I'll have to film it one day. A huge box, and it's just full of bits of old rubbish that I have found. I ask all of my family to save me their broken jewellery, because broken jewellery is brilliant to use in mixed media. So you don't have to have a ton of supplies. You literally can get started with some real basics. One of the things that I would suggest if you're going to get started in mixed media is to get something like a heavy structure gel, or what's the other one? Matte medium's quite a good one. But the gels are really, really good. Gel medium, that's the other one, the Dina Wakley gel medium. I would recommend getting something like this, because these will stick your metals to anything and it will not come off. So on this one, I didn't have those at the time, and you can see that some of the metals are just starting to lift a little bit, and that's because they'll have been stuck down just with some tacky glue or something, because that's all I had at the time. But do you know what? That was 4 years ago. It's still up in my craft room. I still enjoy it, and I had such fun making this. And again, it's homemade texture paste through cheap stencils that I either have bought from places like The Range or AliExpress, places like that. And you can just have so much fun getting started. And like I say, you don't need tons and tons. So I'd really like to see or anything, just link me in it, let me know that you've done it, because I'd really, really like to have a look and see what everybody else is creating. So I am I'm working early this week. I'm working Tuesday and Wednesday, but then I've got a few days off. So I am going to come back on later in the week. I've bought all of these blocks of Fimo because it's on offer in The Range at the moment, and I am going to make some faux ceramic Fimo beads and bits for jewellery. I'm also going to finish up my Christmas cards. I've got Smash That Small Paper Pad. I'm going to be doing my Christmas lights. I'm hoping to get my Christmas lantern done this week as well, but that will be staged over sort of 2 or 3 videos, I think, because it is a bit of a lengthy process, but that's one to look forward to. So if you are not already subscribed to my channel, please do consider it and hit the bell icon, because then you'll get a notification each time I upload a new crafty video, and hopefully there'll be some things that you can have a go at that you perhaps haven't seen before, or just some inspiration to do something that you perhaps haven't done for a while. So I think I'll call it a day there and go and get started on the tea. Thank you so much for joining me, everybody. I've not been able to participate in the chat as much today because I was not as prepared as I should have been, but it's been really nice to have you along for the journey. So yeah, Fimo beads, it's not something I've ever done, so they might turn out to be absolutely rubbish, but I just, I really fancied a go at it, because I've got some real ceramic beads coming, and I've got a bracelet that in mind that I particularly want to make, but I can't get the ceramic piece that I want for it without paying an absolute fortune. So I thought, well, why not make a faux one? So yeah, so that's it. Have a good rest of your day, everybody, and I hope to see you all again very soon. I'm going to be trying to do these lives every Monday. Hopefully they will get a bit slicker as we go along, because obviously I've only just started doing them, and I will try and get myself a bit more organised so that everything's set up and my tablet's got charge in it next time. But that's it from me for now. I'll see you all again very soon in another crafty video. Bye for now.